video, it is all about online resources or tools for your genealogy toolbox. And of course, it helps you to research your family from the Azores. Some people think that you have to go to the islands to research, but actually, most of what I've done has been done on the computer and online back in the US. Keep in mind that no online resource is 100% accurate. It's so important to document as much as you can to ensure its accuracy. Of course, the time period, the island, the amount of time it takes to research it, there's only so many resources that are out there. Now, there are some resources that I prefer, and then others I just use from time to time for various reasons. But at some point, I use all the tools in my toolbox when I research.
If you have family from the Azores, the Culture Azores website is a must-have tool for your genealogy toolbox. It has vital records that you can look at for free. The dates are limited, however, the records cover quite a bit of time. If you're unsure what a website says in Portuguese, you can always right mouse click and choose the language you need. When looking at one of the documents, it will not translate the vital record itself. If you want to ensure that a vital record that you found is your ancestor, you can post it onto one of the Facebook groups and get help from others. If you can't read the vital record in any way at all, please watch my video about genealogists who research the Azores. If you have family from Fayal, you definitely want to check out this book on that same website. Once you find your relative, back up the information with vital records. This is another website to help you find vital records. It links to the Culture Azores website, however, it has more locations. It has mainland Portugal, in which you can search by parish. Also, it has Madeira and 2 other locations. So if you need to search within the Azores and places outside of it, then this would be a useful tool for you.
The next thing I want to mention is the Flores and Corvo ebook. On here, you'll find marriage records. They're from 1675 to 1911. It's available online through Barnes & Noble, as well as some online websites that sell ebooks. Now, as you can see on here, Barnes & Noble has it on sale for $14.99. Now, the fact that I use it so often makes that price more than worth it. This is the São Jorge website. Now, even though it says São Jorge, it's actually a website that has some information about the other islands as well. Now, in order to research on the website, you will need to create an account.
A lot of what you'll find on this website is free. However, some of the additional files you can access through a share file for a small annual fee. If you can't afford the annual fee, you can contact them and they can email you the file when time permits for free. If you need a lot of files or want it quickly, having a share file would be your best option. Here's a list of some resources that they have on the website. Some of my favorite things on this website are the videos and tutorials, as well as the population lists, which include census records, voters lists, confessionals, and much more. This society has more information on their website, as well as you can donate to them. The next one is Sitsem Genealogies. As you can see on this website, they have a lot of locations in the Azores as well as mainland. However, they don't have every location in the Azores. When you first go to the website, you might get a warning message because it's an HTTP instead of an HTTPS website. When that happens, I click to continue and make sure I don't enter any personal information. Of course, the information I'm entering in there, those people have passed away many years ago. When I'm finished, I close out of the website.
This is your island routes. Those of you who have family connected to Hawaii, you've got to check this out. Here's another thing, Portuguese occupations. And they have the English translation. Super helpful, whatever island you're from, wherever your family went to. These occupations put into English is super helpful.
If you had family that immigrated to Hawaii, then the Portuguese Genealogical and Historical Society of Hawaii is a website you need to see. They explain about the society and there's a membership application. They have information about Portuguese family crests and immigration. My personal favorite is the book you can purchase from them. It has families and information about them, including photographs. Before purchasing, you can click a link to preview what is in the book.
Moving on to the next one, Azores GenWeb by Kathy Andrade Cardosa. She has lots of tools on her website to put in your toolbox.
Here's a small example of what you'll find on that website. There's tips on how to get started, naming practices of the Azores. Also, there's the evolution of Portuguese spelling of names, passport information and passenger lists, villages and towns of the Azores, help with reading Portuguese records. Also, she shows you an example of how to read a document. And the best part is, it's translated from Portuguese to English. One of my favorite parts of this website is the 4-island death index. It covers a time period that you can't find the records online. It covers the time period from 1911 to 1956. So if you have an ancestor from more recent times, this is definitely a part of the website you want to check out.
Genealogical websites. That would be, for example, MyHeritage, Ancestry, Family Search, and others. You can go on there and you can find out all kinds of information. Just make sure you check out what's on there, especially if it's somebody's tree. You always want to document it and double check what's on there just to make sure that it's right. Now, one of the websites that I said before was Family Search. Family Search is through the LDS Church, but you do not need to be a member of the church.
Here's an overview of what you'll find on there. They even show famous people that you're related to. Again, I would check to see what they have is correct. I know I found some errors here and there, and I've even found some famous people not listed on Family Search that I know I'm related to. There's another genealogical website that I want to show you. If you have family from Flamengos, you'll want to check this out. I have a distant cousin who's a genealogist. She researched and created this tree with thousands of people in it. Creating and documenting all of these people takes a great deal of time and effort, which is why I'm sharing it in this video. Her work has helped me out, and I hope it'll help out others as well. If you have family from other parishes, it's still worth checking out. I found family from Flamengos in her tree, and I found them from other parishes as well. If you have trouble reading Portuguese, as I said earlier in this video, you can click to translate it into English. At the top right is a search box by last and first name. Below that is a print option and other helpful features. A neat feature that you'll find on there is in the left-hand side where there's a menu. You can click the family tree data and you can find out all kinds of information. On the left, you can click to see a timeline. With that timeline, there's a map. The family tree view is a nice way to see an overview of everyone. Above that, you'll see the sources they used. Below that, you'll see their tree, in which you have the option to either print or download it. They have 2 different tree formats and many options to choose from.
The next one is Facebook. They've given me help with reading the documents, interpreting the language, guidance with how to break down that brick wall in my tree. They've helped me to find cousins that I'm so glad to have in my life now, and so much more. Through joining a Facebook group, I don't feel like I'm alone with researching my tree. In addition, because I've never known my Portuguese side of the family, I found it really helpful to join some of the groups. Now, it's important to note that most of the groups have questions that you must answer before you can join them. Now, if you find a group that is not focused on what you want or what you need, with just one click, you can always remove yourself from that group.
Google Groups. It provides discussion groups with people who have a common interests. It's like the Facebook groups where you can ask questions, ask for help, and more. With Google Groups, you can participate in forums by subject, or you can create a group. I found and joined this Azores Genealogy group. Immigrant ship information can help you locate a timeline when your family came to another country. This is the Immigrant Ships website. It has the Azores as well as some other locations. When you are looking for your relatives, a fast way to find them is through a keyboard shortcut. If you have a PC, click Control F. If you have a Mac, click Command F. The F stands for Find. Now you can type your relative's name and more easily find them. However, the problems you might run into are the different spellings, misspellings, and common names. You might prefer to go through all the names just in case. When I use the keyboard shortcut, I type the part of the name that is usually the easiest. For example, Julia, or as we say in the United States, Julia. As you can see here, there's only 2 on the page. Next, click on the arrow and then it'll go to that name, and as you can see, it's highlighted. Now if I type João, you can see how many more people have that name. Important note, however you prefer to go through the names, always scroll to the bottom of the page because there might be another page of names. If you had family you know they came through Ellis Island, they have a search engine on their website.
Some other websites that I mentioned before also have immigration and passport information. For example, Family Search, the George Genealogical Society,
Culture Azores, Azores GenWeb, and others.
All right, the next one is Whaling Crew List Database. Now on here, as you can see, I have my relative right there, and I'm going to click for more information. As you see, it shows the vessel that he was on, the rig. The age of it is not there, the height, the skin, none of that's on there. But it does give his rank, and his rank was third mate. So that verifies that he was a crew member on that ship during that time period. Now, just keep in mind, this is around the time that he was first recorded in the United States. And his wife was also recorded coming to the United States through New York City. And it was around that same time. So it's pretty reasonable to guess that he came over, didn't go back, and then his wife met up with him. So be sure to use this whaling crew list to find your relatives, especially if you can't find them on an immigration list.
A great resource to find is grave information. In the US, you might find whole families together and maybe even a biography about the person. In the Azores, however, information tends to be more limited. It's still worth looking for your relatives from more recent times. For example, this one has a picture of a person on their gravestone. If you're trying to find older graves, you will likely not find your relative's gravesite. That's because after a period of time, the body of the older graves are put into an ossuary. The bodies in the ossuary are not marked, and so you won't know exactly where they're located. But what is an ossuary? Well, it's a chest or a box or a building or a site made to serve as a final resting place of human skeletal remains. You'll find an ossuary in places in which burial space is scarce. A body is first buried into a temporary grave, and then after a period of time, skeletal remains are removed and then placed in an ossuary. Finding graves from the 1900s to current times is what you'll mostly find. You might find some from the 1800s, or if you're lucky, maybe something before that, but most likely you won't find them that early. For more information about deaths and burials in the Azores, you can go to the Azores GenWeb website. When it comes to searching for graves, as I mentioned before, there's Find a Grave, as well as the Saint George website. You can search on there, as well as Family Search's Billion Graves Index.
Next website is CRW Flags. On this website, they have the world flags as well as they have the coat of arms. Now, this one I specifically searched for was from the Azores, of course. So on here, we can click and learn about the flags, anything related to it, the coat of arms, the subdivisions. They have all kinds of good information right here.
This is the Spot Azores website. On this website, they have webcams for all of the islands. This is a great tool to use if you want to check out the weather before you travel there. They even have detailed information about the weather conditions. Also, if you're from there, it gives you a chance to see home. If you're not from there, it gives you a chance to see what it looks like. However, one thing I did notice is that some of the islands, they do have more webcams than others, but I was glad to see that every island is represented. If you have confirmed you are connected to the Azores and have tested with Family Tree DNA, you should consider joining the group there. On that website is more information about them and their goals. What I found interesting was seeing the number of people connected to a surname. Here are some of the most common surnames in this group. Those of you who enjoy genetic genealogy can view the Y and mtDNA results. Here is a list of some other things that you can see in this group. This resource I love to use when I'm researching and when I'm planning to travel to the Azores. This is Google Maps. There is so much you can do with this tech tool. All right, this is the island of Flores, and there's a cemetery, which I want to check out where it's located. As you can see on here, there's different ways that you can view the map, as well as you can zoom in. I like how you can see the different street names. A lot of times I want to know where something's at. Another thing you can do is search for restaurants. As you click on them, they will come up with the location. You can also click what's nearby, and it'll identify what's nearby that location. I like how on here you can look for accommodations, set a price, as well as do a search for number of guests. They also have a filter at the top. And then once you find a place to stay, if you look at the bottom, there's a price comparison. They also have a search for things to do, pharmacies, and ATMs. I want to look at this ATM. It's always nice to check out an ATM before you go to it. You can click on it, get a street side view, as well as see the street name, and just scroll around looking for that ATM. And I think I'd see it right there. So I want to make sure. So I'm going to click on the building, and then there we go. There's the ATM, sure enough. This is the Fold3 website. If you have an Ancestry account, they have an option to add this for an extra fee, or you can get a membership outside of Ancestry. I used to think that only military records were on the website, but that's not true. As you can see at the bottom, they have Black history, Native American, and other non-military information like the census, naturalization records, and much more. Fold3 has more than 560 million records for the US. I looked to see if they had Portugal and found 54,000 records. I did a search with their Vietnam records and typed Alves to see if something would come up. There was one person that came up, and here is what I found about him. This website even shows his name on the memorial. You can even zoom in and out and see exactly where his name is. They even have the option to view it full screen. A website I've used to find out family members as well as which island my family came from is newspapers.com. I'm going to do a search here for John Silva. Then I'm going to look for obituaries. You can also search a particular newspaper or a location. I'm going to look for the Fresno Bee. And of course, I want to keep my best match. You can narrow down the time period as well as the day of the week. Now I'm doing my search, and that should narrow down things. Now I've got 33 matches, which is much better. I'm going to click on one of them. You can zoom in, zoom out, as well as change the contrast. You can add or take away some of the brightness, as well as you can add or take away the contrast. Now, if you want to go back to the original, you just click Reset. This is a neat tool. The invert tool sometimes is a better way to view the text. Here's an obituary of somebody, and they were from Flores. They give his occupation, when he died, which island he's from, where he lived. They explain that he was naturalized, as well as what church he was a member of, and more importantly, they list who he's survived by. So now not only do you have him, you have some other family members as well. That's a great way to confirm that you have the right person. What's nice is that sometimes you'll come across a picture of somebody as well as the information about them. I like how they highlight the words that you're looking for in the text. You can also click an arrow to go to each time that word comes up in the text. They don't just have the US, they have other countries as well. Unfortunately, they don't have Portugal or the Azores. However, later in this video, I'm going to show you where you can get newspapers from the Azores. This is the National Archives for the United States. Later in the video, I'll show you the archives for the Azores. On this website, they have Research Our Records, Veteran Service Records, Educator Resources, America's Founding Documents, and Visit Us. You can browse by port, and not just the United States, but in other places like Canada. Here's an example of what you'll find in connection with immigration records. You'll want to make sure that you scroll all the way to the bottom of their webpage because quite often there's a lot of really good links at the bottom. Also, you'll find that a lot of their links lead you to the Ancestry website or Family Search. This is the archives for the Azores. On here, you'll find some genealogies. Some are easy to read, some are a little more challenging. They have documents, photographs, and other items that are archived. On the right side of the screen, you will have the option to click to have digital representation. That will allow you to see online whatever the item is. The number to the right of it tells you how many items there are.
Those of you interested in history, finding a family tree, wanting to know about life of the people and your ancestors, Academia is a great online resource to use. This is an educational research website. It's a platform for sharing academic research. Thousands of people have uploaded their research. You can go to their website and read more about their story. You can also sign up for email notifications regarding what they have posted. Here's an example of an email they sent me.
You can follow someone, share something that was posted, save to your drive, bookmark, and more. Someone messaged me recently about a problem connecting with their Google account. If you have trouble with their website, there is a report option.
I searched just for the subject of the Azores, and as you can see, thousands have been written on that subject. Those of you who have researched the Azores for some time or have connections to the Madeira Islands, as you can see, there are more than 6,500 views of this. You can click to see related postings as well. I have a free account, but you can sign up for a premium account. Here's a list of some advantages of their premium account. If you have a relative who lived in more recent times, but this online resource might be the tool for you. This is UMass Dartmouth Claire T. Carney Library. On this website, they have Portuguese American digital archives. Those of you who have family that only lived in the Azores, Canada, or some other location, I wouldn't dismiss this resource. Occasionally, I've seen references to people in other locations like Canada in the newspaper.
These are American newspapers that are reporting the news from the Azores. If you had family in the US who had a business, you might even find pictures of your relatives like this one.
They have a good selection of newspapers. Below this video, I have a link to their main website and where you can do a search. Each website on this video is numbered so you can easily find where the link is. The UMass website sometimes might seem like it's looking for a needle in a haystack. However, I've had some really good luck with it when I found something. I found articles with information about family that were only found in these newspapers. For example, I had a relative who died in 1913. The online death records for Culture Azores only go until 1911. Here is what the article told me. It's her obituary. It has the age of her death, says she's a widow. I know it's her because her husband's name is an exact match. It also has her death date. For me, that was huge. My tips to help you research with this tool: search with confirmed name and identity information. When looking for your person, go in order and keep track of the newspapers you've looked at. I keep track of the date of the newspaper and use that as a reference. The most time-saving way to search on this website is to use Control F or Command F with a Mac, and do that every time you bring up a new page from a newspaper. Screenshot it and add it to your tree. Then document the facts like the title, page, etc. of the newspaper. At times I've had trouble doing a new search. If that happens, close out and restart your search. Keep a copy of the link so it's easy to find. If you can't find it, you can find it below this video. These websites should give you a good start with researching your ancestry connected to the Azores. Although I covered many of them, I'm sure there are even more of them out there. If you have a resource not mentioned in this video that you'd like to use, please share it in the comments below.